September the 6th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at now Hurricane Lee. You've got a 75 mile per hour storm. A Cat 1 begins after 74 miles an hour. Now, the updates are that this thing now is possibly going to become a Cat 5. There's a couple of scenarios that are playing out on where this thing will come in, but we'll take a look at that. AccuWeather came out with one of their updates just a few minutes ago, and they're putting information together showing that there's a front moving off the U.S. It's not just the high pressure in the Atlantic, but there's a front moving off the U.S. towards the right in the screen towards the Atlantic. Depending on where it stops, if it's offshore, it will miss everything except Bermuda. If the front that's dipping down stalls back along the Appalachian area, then the storm could come into the northeast. And again, it's predicted to become a Cat 5 by AccuWeather. They've got some pretty good people there. Now, this is the wide Atlantic, and the storm's moving pretty much west-northwest. Just a slight movement to the north and northwest at this point. Notice what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico. You've got a little bit of moisture trying to build up, not much. Guys, the front came through Mississippi today, and it put rain all around us. We didn't get any here, but we got a lot of shade, so I wasn't complaining about it. That was nice. Everybody's going to get rain on different days, right? So just be glad they got it. But we're fine here, but there is a little bit of rotation involved in the Gulf with this system, and we have seen these spin out into the Gulf, and then the next day National Hurricane Center or someone will start to pay attention to it. Now let's take a look at the 5 p.m. advisory coming in from Sky Tower, which is a Fox 13 down in Florida. Very accurate, very good. If you're in Florida and you're a major station like that, you should be good at watching hurricanes because that's a major threat through your state. And I just want to say you guys do a great job. Now, look at the track here. They're not the ones saying it will become a Cat 5 yet. It's AccuWeather that has predicted that. But we're looking at a Cat 1 now, 85 miles an hour tonight after midnight. It's going from 75 to 85. Friday, 2 a.m., 110 mile per hour storm, and that's a Cat 2. That's the upper limit of a Cat 2. Then you go to a Cat 3, which is 111 miles per hour up to 129. Cat 4 starts at 130 here, and you don't have the timestamps in here, but notice Saturday at 2 p.m., 150 mile per hour storm here. That's still a Cat 4, but that goes up to 156. From 157 up, it's a Cat 5. Shows it slowing down here overnight, and then we'll see what happens. But they're, again, predicting it to become a Cat 5. 75 miles per hour. It's moving west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. The pressure's 991 millibars. Now, this came out about 10 minutes ago at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Time. It's the updated spaghetti models. CMC and the Navy model are very close together. Right in this area, you can see them both. Now, their scenario on their models is showing a northward turn and turning up and possibly getting Bermuda again. And now it's caught a lot of traffic in the last 2 different storms that we've had, right? So I'd like to hear reports from anybody that is in Bermuda. And I know some people that comment on the channel have lived there before on how the situation is. We're just not getting much or many updates from that area. But again, AccuWeather's pointing out the fact that we're going to be dealing with this front that's going to sweep down either across the Appalachians, which would be like this, and pause here. If it does that, it's going to pull a Cat 4, Cat 5 into this section of the country. Now, they're pretty much eliminating from here down. Now, if this storm, let me change this out, if it moves out offshore, which they're thinking about it's going to do, right along this area, then it's going to steer the storm up, and the bad side of the storm is going to get Bermuda like we've seen, again, the last 2 storms. I'm going to link you to their video, guys, because they do an excellent job on putting it all together. Of course, you got thousands of employees with AccuWeather and very good meteorologists, so they have the means to do it. I'm giving you the basics here. Again, I will link it. Now let's take a look at the Canadian model, guys. It's showing the front stalling right in this area. Notice these two areas of low pressure and the storm turning up and north. Bermuda is right there offshore. Watch it again. I'm going to stop it. Some critical points here. Right there, we possibly have a Cat 5 hurricane. That's September the 15th. Now, it's going to follow the path of least resistance, but where this front stalls right here will determine whether it, again, moves north of Bermuda and then puts the bad side of the storm on the island, or whether it moves into the northeastern United States. Now, the Navy model points out a couple of good things. The rapid strengthening to a much larger hurricane, possibly a Cat 5, will stop it on that date. They are just south and southwest of Bermuda on September the 14th. That's as far out as this model goes. And you've got a little bit of different setup here with the pressure and the low pressure. Now, let's look at the brand new update from AccuWeather. And as we start to look at that, this red area is talking about beach hazards. Now, guys, I don't know if you saw the report from up in the Northeast. I can't remember what state it was. Maybe one of you guys do. I just kind of got a glancing view of a small article. I think 4 people drowned because of the rip currents from Adaya that were still being pushed in. They had to form a human chain. Guys, maybe you saw the article. And they saved some other people, but 4 people died. And this is going to be stronger than that. But these are beach hazards. It says rough surf, dangerous rip currents, minor coastal flooding, regardless, right? So keeping it, regardless of where this thing comes in, it's going to have an effect for everything along the East Coast. Now, the scenario number 1 is this jet stream, and I'm going to let it kind of play through here. It's bouncing back and forth. Scenario 1 is coming up here. That pushes the storm back offshore. See that where the jet stream is? Scenario 2, slower but stronger inland. And that's going to bring up the red area, guys, that we're looking at when it changes. All the way from North Carolina, all the way up the northeastern coast, depending on this jet stream right here. Now, of course, the high pressure has something to do with it, but these are the 2 scenarios. So looking at just the models without the AccuWeather information, you would assume automatically that we're going to have non-impact on the northeast, that Bermuda is going to catch it and it's going to move out into the Atlantic. That would be the best scenario because it will still pull a lot of heat out of the western Atlantic along the shorelines. That's going to help weather everywhere. But that's what they're dealing with right here, guys. I don't want to make it much longer, but we'll know very soon. You can see what they're talking about. Again, there's your outer jet stream. There's your inner jet stream along the Appalachians. And that's going to determine where we see this come in. Now, by the time it gets as far north as, say, New York, if it's coming ashore, it possibly, because of cooler weather or cooler water, may slow back down some. You're still going to have that outward inertia of whatever the peak strength is for a long time because it's already made that push. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.